Hi everybody, I'm Scott Bino, Vice President of Marketing for North America here at Crawford & Company. And today on Crawford Chat, we have a very busy couch. We have three people joining me today. This is a record for Crawford Chat. We have Kelley, we have Robbie, and we have Avery, all from our Global Technical Services group here at Crawford GTS. Before we get into it, if you could all introduce yourself and what you do at Crawford, that'd be great. So Kelley, you're closest to me, so if you could go first.
I am Kelley Dorr, and I currently serve as an account protege for the GTS division. So I'm learning all things large and complex claims. I kind of do a year deep dive in on what we do, who we talk to, how all the pieces of the puzzle come together.
My name's Robbie Arnold. I'm a Managing Executive General Adjuster here at GTS. I'm based here in Atlanta. I lead a small team, one of 10 managing EGAs at Crawford, so lead teams that are basically strategic around our accounts and our clients so that we kind of handle our claims to the best abilities we can.
I'm Avery Cobb. I'm an Atlanta-based Regional General Adjuster supporting our strategic accounts team on the West Coast. So my branch is actually out in La Brea, but I sit here in Atlanta. And I assist out on a lot of our accounts handling large, complex losses in the commercial space.
Excellent. So I want to know your origin story. And it doesn't have to be sort of, the day you were born and the first time you learned how to ride a bike, but, I want to know your GTS origin story. So again, let's go down the line. So if you can just tell me a little bit about how you got here, right? So Kelley, tell me about how did you get here?
I was an intern last summer, and I kind of got to see a mile wide and inch deep view of GTS and Crawford as a whole. So I mostly was in the financial operations and business development teams. I graduated from UGA, Go Dogs, as a finance major this past May. And then I knew nothing about insurance really. As I got that inch deep view of it, I kind of fell in love and wanted to know more. So then I found this GTS protege role where I have a year to really dive in, learn the technical side of it. And I'm 3 weeks in now, so it's been great learning.
Awesome. Robbie, what about you?
So my journey into insurance is a little different. I didn't stumble in. I have a risk management and insurance degree also from UGA. I went to work for an insurance carrier. I've always been in claims though. I was always seems to be like that's the insurance product. That's like where the rubber meets the road. So I've always been in that claims role. I worked for a carrier for about 10 years, really focusing on property. And then I went to the independent adjusting route where I got to do a little bit deeper dive. I like the large complex losses. I like being able to take the time to really investigate them. I also like being out on site, doing the investigations, seeing what's going on, figuring out how to put these buildings and properties back together. So that's kind of where I've been focusing on. Done it for a while. I've kind of stumbled my way up to where I'm kind of leading a team and doing it that way. So.
Avery, how about you?
So I have a degree in risk management insurance as well, but I started in finance and accounting at Crawford back in 2017 as an interned all throughout college, started full-time in 2020, and then about 2021, 2022, I got an opportunity to join GTS in a claims role and took the opportunity, haven't looked back, enjoyed it ever since.
That's great. I want to get into some of your roles and what you guys experience day to day. So Robbie, I'm going to start with you. I can imagine within the complex space, if you're dealing with a catastrophic event or something sort of major, there's probably a lot of people involved, a lot of parties involved, or a lot of, for lack of a better word, complexity. How do you approach that? For somebody like me or those that don't work in this area, to me it seems really daunting. So what's your approach when you are faced with that complexity?
It is really tricky. I mean, the hard part is for us to figure out kind of where our exposures are with our clients. So it's a lot of communications up front. We're really trying to figure out where our clients have exposure, where do they need us to be. Once we kind of identify that part, when we see the storms, like you use a hurricane for an example, those are usually big news events. So you see that we know, where the affected areas are. So we can kind of do some of our own research. We track some of our accounts. We know where our exposures are. We communicate then with our clients to figure out what their spread is as well. The next thing is like strategic, right? How do we get our team down there? How do we get them into a position to where they can be as effective as possible in these events as they try to focus really more on, putting those properties back together. We're a key piece of that, but, we're kind of third in line behind, life safety and that type of thing. So,
yeah. And for you, Kelley, there's obviously a wealth of experience on this couch and within the whole GTS group. what have you learned, or how have you been able to kind of soak up a lot of that knowledge that we have here and around the whole GTS group? How have you been able to take some of that through your internship and bring that into your role today as a protege?
It has helped the transition immensely. I can't imagine trying to dive into this space with no real-world experience. And having these two sit right by my desk has made a world of difference. Just hearing like best practices and being able to absorb, like you were saying, and soak in all they say through overhearing phone calls or looking over Avery's desk and seeing how he does a report or showing me photos from a loss has really helped me understand what actually goes on out in the field, where I'm stuck behind my desk sometimes. Learning from a computer, it helps to have some people to bounce off questions and ideas.
And you talked about sort of people, the experience that's here and the experience around just the office and in the field. I want to talk a little bit about the culture of Global Technical Services and how that communication flows. And so Avery, I want to ask you this question. What are some of the things now in your role and the experience that you've had up to this point that you share, some of those experiences maybe that you share with people like Kelley or people that are sort of starting out in GTS? What are some of those things that you share around collaboration and communication?
I truly believe the most important person in an organization is like the next person, because without continuity and sharing that knowledge with the next generation, I mean, you know the industry, it's an aging industry, and I've absorbed a ton of information from people who have taken the time to really train me and hone my skills, and my mission really is to pay that forward. So I see someone like Kelley or any of the interns, like I do whatever I can to take them aside and show them what I do, because if you're coming in fresh, really understanding what an independent adjusting firm does can be a little difficult. So starting with what we do, what it looks like, how the sausage is made, and then just everything I've learned. I'm completely transparent. Everything that I know, I share freely. And I think that's really the best way to keep this industry going. And if you want to be, a successful account adjuster one day, you're going to need a team of people to surround yourself that you trust. And what better way to forge those bonds?
That's perfect. And so Kelley, I'm going to come back to you. So working with somebody like Avery or people in his position, is there any sort of experience or moment that you can share that really helped kind of shape you, that you could share with those folks that maybe are in internship right now that might become future proteges down the line? Something that you could tell them to look out for this or consider this or think about this. Like, I'd love to know something that's kind of fresh in your mind that really worked for you.
I think I stressed myself out a lot in the beginning of not knowing the ins and outs of the industry, as I've touched on a few times, and just don't get hung up on that. Currently I'm in a residential property adjusting course, and it feels like a water hose of information. Like, there's so much I don't know about roofing and tile and the types of boards you're supposed to use and things like that. But really leaning into the culture that we have at GTS and leaning on Avery and Robbie and other people who sit in our section really helps, because I can, as I mentioned, go to them for a quick question or a quick chat and pull them aside. So focusing more on forming mentors and friendships with your coworkers, I found to be far more beneficial than keeping my nose in the book and trying to memorize the HO3 policy, which I did try to do and would not recommend.
So can you give us the whole HO3 policy right now? No,
no, I cannot. In and out.
No, that's great. And so, Robbie, I want to ask you a similar question from your perspective as a leader. So I got to believe, in just talking to you guys and just hearing this conversation, that, mentorship has to be huge, I think, in this business, and specifically within GTS. It's, there's things you can learn through a course in a book, but there's just some things that you absorb through just being on the job and just through osmosis and just being around people. So Robbie, how do you approach mentorship, right? Talk to me about mentorship, and for yourself, but even within GTS as a whole.
Yeah, I was incredibly fortunate as I was coming up and learning that I was always surrounded by people who were gracious with their time and that would communicate. And it really fostered the way I handle claims. Is I like to create, my scenarios of what we want to do, and we have to be creative in our world, right? So we have to come in and look at that. And I like to bounce that off the wall. I like to have a sounding board of people who are, maybe not so deep in our claim that we can't say, hey, I got this idea, I want to do this, what do you think? I like that. I also would like to kind of take a book from what he's saying and say, look, you got to pass it forward. The best way to learn is to, to do this. This is a hard business. There's no manual to say, hey, this is the way you're supposed to do it. I know we follow our best claims practices, but the reality is every claim is unique. Every circumstance is different. And you have to kind of, weave that through, and it takes time to learn. So when you look at some of our younger adjusters coming up and you see them frustrated, it's, we've all been there, and it's nice to kind of say, well, what are you dealing with? What you got, right? I like claims. I've always done them. This is the business I've chosen, and so I like to be able to pass that forward. And frankly, it's something we still do. I mean, I still have some of the same struggles and frustrations. It's just different.
I just want to thank all three of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come in here. I know you guys have a lot on your plates, a lot going on. Really appreciate you doing this. Like I said, we've broken some records. We've got the most people, so we're going to try and see how wide we can make this camera angle, to see how many people we can get on here. But I just truly appreciate all three of you for coming in and chatting with me. And thank you, everybody who watched this episode. Really appreciate your time. And be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. Now we get into the serious business stuff. Have you ever cried at a commercial or a movie?
I cry at any proposal scene.
Okay.
Those just make me imagine my future and well up in tears.
Oh,
They're
okay.
always so sweet.
So are there high expectations for this now? You've seen this a million times.
Yes.
Oh, so
major expectations. I need to be
bar set.
surprised, but I need to be perfectly prepared.
Okay. This is going to be a hard one to top.
I'm just going to go with no at this point.
No.
I'm a softy at heart. Like, I have children, and somehow as soon as I crossed over and became a parent, like those like military reunions where they come home from deployments, like
Oh, they surprise them?
Those will just like hit you right in the feels.
Oh, yeah. And if they don't, you're a psychopath. What office supply best represents your personality?
I would say the snack cabinet, specifically the chocolate jar.
That's your office supply, the snack cabinet?
Yes, it's essential to work.
I'm not judging. I'm just clarifying, but I'm with you.
Gets me excited, makes me happy. Little midday break, filled with a surprise.
Nice.
Sweet, soft exterior.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
And this
Yes.
says a lot about a person.
It says everything about a person. Judgment will be cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, pineapple on pizza, yes.
It has to be done correctly. You can't just pull.
Sorry, go on.
Can't just pull canned pineapple out of a can and plop it on the pizza and call it a day. But they need to treat it before they put it on the pizza, get some of that moisture out of there so you're not diluting the rest of the pizza.
I've never had anybody analyze that question as much as you did.
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Do
No,
you guys
I'm
need space between
I mean, I'm like,
Is there any childhood trauma here that we need to talk about, or is this just a...
it's just weird, a meshing of textures.
So you need your textures to align.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to this. I think there's something more here that
And I hate to say it, but I'm Goldilocks right in the middle of, I like
Oh,
Avery's
come on.
idea.
We need to break the tie. What would you pick as your superpower?
Teleporting.
Teleporting, that's
Because
a
of
good
traffic, and
Yeah.
I love to be everywhere all at once.
I always just think like I would just go into like a bank vault. and
Yeah,
just with a bag. And then I would teleport out of the bank vault.
that would work as well.
Yeah, but
Probably.
mine is illegal. Yours is just social. It's just fun.
Right.
Flying.
Flying, to be able to
Yeah,
fly.
I mean, just like you see that Superman just
Yeah.
charging out there. That's
Yeah.
just first thing I think of.
Flying,
Yeah.
roof inspection's a lot easier if you can fly.
Roof inspection.
Yeah.
You could use it on the job.
Yeah.
Okay, good answer.
I didn't
Classic adjuster answer.
Yeah. Yeah, the heart of an adjuster.
It's a Crawford talk. We got to talk about work.
Theoretically, you'd be like,
Go
Thank you.
Crawford.
Go Crawford.
We did it, guys.